Hey everyone, welcome back to another design tutorial in Adobe XD, and today we'll be designing this cool background animations all inside Adobe XD without using any external resources. I'll be using a couple of plugins, and that is how we'll make these animations come to life. Before I start, however, do in the comments write down which is your favorite out of these three, and maybe based on that we can announce a winner or whatever. So without further ado, let's just get started. So once I have a new Adobe XD window open, all I need to do is first of all create a 1920 by 1080 artboard, which I can find in the bottom right here. Once I have one artboard set up, I will start making my designs. So first of all, this artboard's background needs to be a black, but not just an ordinary black, a bluish black is what we're going for, just like this. Perfect. And the next thing that we need to do is go ahead and create 4 ellipses. Make sure these ellipses are small, they shouldn't be very big, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So once we have this one circle ready, I'll just duplicate it and create 4 total circles. Just randomly place them anywhere you want, and we'll color these in. I have already saved these colors, so what I'll do is just randomly color these from here. I will be providing the Adobe XD file as always in the description below, so you can download it from right there. Once I have all 4 ready, I'll select all 4 of these, and I'll go to the plugins panel at the bottom right here. And in the plugins panel, I have a cool plugin called Confetti, and if you've not used it, it randomly places objects across your artboard. So we'll be using this for effect. So we want 24 columns as well as 24 rows. Now once we have this set up, I would like to randomize the opacity as well. So from say 56 to 100 or 60 to 100, whatever you like. Rotation, there's no point because they're circles, by the way. And we'll randomize the scale. So now that we've randomized the scale from 50 to 150, perfect. And we'll also enable depth of field blur. This will make sure that there's like a depth inside our artboard based on these elements. So go ahead and run this. After I've run this, after a couple of seconds, as you can see, it's created this cool little confetti effect, which looks very attractive, by the way. And on top, I'll just quickly place some text, maybe some text which says Adobe XD. How about that? And I will make this white text and make sure that this is actually bold. And let me just center this out. Now that I've centered it out, so this is our first artboard. The second artboard will quickly duplicate it by saying Command D or Control D if you're using Windows. And once I have this ready, all I need to do is increase the size of this text just by dragging it out and holding Shift. And make sure this is centered, otherwise the effect won't come out. And I'll reduce the opacity of the text to 0%. Perfect. Now I will quickly lock this text layer so I don't select it by mistake, and I'll say Command L to lock it. Once I've locked it, I'll drag and select all of these confettis or circles, if you may. At the top right hand corner here, we have our alignment buttons. So I want this, first of all, this center to be aligned so that you can see everything is being aligned towards the center. And one more thing that we need to do is on the top right here, there's something called align center horizontally. Once we click on that, you can see this is now just one element. Isn't that pretty cool? That is how they'll come together. Okay, so now that we have our second artboard, let me just move this out of the way, this text field area. Once this is out of the way, let me just cut it out here. And once this is out of the way, I have to make sure that I have 3 circles of course different colors. Let me see, these are all green. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to the first artboard and pick up three different colored circles, so red, green, blue, and yellow. Just copy these over to the last artboard, and I'll show you in a second what I want to do. So just delete all of these circles right here and say Command V. Now we go back to plugins and we go back to Confetti again. We do the exact same thing. So we go ahead and say 24 by 24, just the exact same thing. We randomize opacity. We're gonna do is 0 to 100. Okay, we're gonna randomize opacity that much. For this step, there's no necessity for that, and there's no necessity for anything else as well. So I'll just go ahead and run it. For this last step, we've prepared this. Now what we have to do is go ahead and select all of these. First of all, make sure that the names are the same. Unfortunately, it isn't. Okay, now to make sure that the animation works, what we're going to do is go to the first artboard, select all these circles, just drag and select, and go to and make sure that there are no other elements in the artboard. That is a must. And go to the plugins panel, and at the bottom I have rename it downloaded. So go ahead and say rename selected layers, number sequence ascending, and start from 1, of course, and I'll say rename. We'll do the same thing with the second artboard. We'll go ahead and select all of these, go to plugins, rename it. Let's select for rename it, and now that we've selected it, number sequence ascending, start from 1, rename. And we're going to do the same for the last artboard. Go to plugins, rename it, rename selected layers, number sequence ascending, and 1, rename. Alright, so now everything's been renamed. Let's try this out. So go to prototype. So on clicking this entire artboard, I will be going to the second artboard right here. So make sure that in the right hand corner you have tap on transition. It should be auto animate the action. Ease out, I'm going to choose ease in out and about 2 seconds for this effect. And the second artboard, here is the crucial part. I want you guys to select the entire artboard. How do you do that? Just click on the name of the artboard right here and drag this arrow to the third artboard. I'm going to do the same right here, but we'll change the trigger to time and make sure there's a 0-second delay. Auto animate is on, ease in out 2 seconds. Let's test this out. See, everything comes together and then blows away. Now to add an extra spark, I'll do is go ahead and select all of these, and I'll reduce the opacity to 0 in the last artboard. So that will add the extra pop to it. Now this all comes together and expands and vanishes just like the original design. Now the second design is even simpler. So I'll quickly draw out a random artboard right here, and I'll write in, Adobe XD once again, just like we did earlier, and make sure this has a shadow here so that you can see a bit of it, but not too much, just like a subtle shadow. That's it. Place this in the center, just like that. And at the back, what I'm going to do is I'll take the pen tool. Just by clicking on P, you can activate the pen tool, and I will create a little wave. So just click another point and just drag it out. So there you go, your first wave is done. I'll create make sure it's a little more wavy, and once I make sure that it's a little more wavy, I will make sure that there are three arches here. So make sure everything is aligned properly, and if everything is aligned properly, this whole animation will be beautiful. Once we have like a swiggly like this, I don't know what to call it, make sure the border is 2 pixels in size. You can make it thicker if you want, and I'm choosing a blue right here, like a really sharp blue. Now once I have this ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very useful plugin. Okay, so the plugin that I'm going to use now is called Pattern Maker, and it's very similar to Confetti. Now before we use any plugin to design this, make sure that these curves are like very steep, just like that, like it's a proper wave, like almost an S. you know. And once we have this sort of an S ready to go, we can quickly go ahead and select this S shape, and at the left hand side I have this plugin called Pattern Maker. So if I click on Pattern Maker, it allows me to create a quick pattern. So I'll go with 13 by 13 and I'll say OK. Now as you can see, there's a very interesting background right here. What we have, we can make it a little more complex. If we go 23 by 23, it can become even more complex, just like this. This is a very complex background. And what I'm going to do is, again, this is a mask. So first of all, I'll make sure that the text is at the top, and I'll make sure that this mask is ungrouped. So to do that, I'll just say right click on this right here on the right click on this, and I'll say ungroup mask. Once I do that, this mask will be ungrouped, and just remove this top mask, which is red somehow. And I want you guys to go ahead and select all of these from top to bottom, all at the background. You can do that easily by looking at the artboard, all these parts. And what I want you to do is reduce the width to about 2 and height to about 2 as well. So you see now we have these really cool looking dots right here, which I will move around a little bit, which I can move around, but you know, I'll just skip, which I can easily move around. I'll just select all of these and I'll just drag him out here and in the middle. Perfect. Make sure that it's in the middle. Perfect. And I'll just place the text back over this. Now comes the easy part. So let's go to duplicate the artboard, and first of all I'll just remove this text, and go ahead and select all of these dots once again, and make sure that the width and height is similar to what we had before. So make sure you make a note of it. So width is about 2 pixels and height is about 100 pixels, I guess, and width is about 120 pixels. So you know, just randomly create these until you have your desired shape, and you know, put this text over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prototype this now, and if I click on this artboard, it'll move to the second artboard just like that, and I'll say tap, auto animate, ease in out, 2 seconds. You can reduce or increase this based on your liking, and I'll play this prototype. So if I click on this, see how this shape really animates, and look how cool it looks. You can add your own effects just like I've done in my original one. It's slightly different, as you can see, because I've made these slower and these are slightly taller than what we have there. So you can increase the height and not increase the width much. That is something that you can easily do, and that is how I achieved that. Okay, so for the last effect, I'm just going to duplicate this because I'm getting lazy a little bit almost. So for this last effect, I'll remove all these dots. It's as simple as that. And what I'm going to do here is just create these rectangles right here, which are slightly tall. And once I've done that, so once I've made that rectangle, I already have these gradients filled up. So you know, on the left panel, on the colors panel right here, I will be giving the XD file down the description like always. And I'll give this a border radius of about 12, or maybe even more, 24. Yeah, that's perfect. And what I'm going to do now is just going to duplicate this, place them slightly apart, and I'm going to change the gradient to something else which I've already saved again, and I'll change this to something else as well, and this to this green as well. And what I'm going to do is just use my repeat grid skills. Just use my repeat grid skills and make like a quick repeat grid right here. So once we have these set up and you know, repeated, so as to say, I'll ungroup the grid once I have everything ready. I'll remove the extra ones at the bottom. Okay, once we have these ready, what I want you to do is select all of these and quickly ungroup these. So Control Shift G or Command Shift G to ungroup all of this. Now we have individual elements ready to go, and for this what I'm going to do is just do 3 letters here. So I'll do my first 3 letters of my name. So P, I'll place this P in one of these, right here, just like that. U, I'll just do U right here. Perfect. And perfect. And I'll place another one which is N, of course. And so I have my three letters placed right next to each other. Now I'll quickly show you how to do this. So what I'll do is select the rectangle at the back and say Command D or Control D to duplicate this. So if I go to the Assets panel on the left, on the Layers panel, I can see Command D. As you can see, a new layer has been created. And I'll select the top layer and the bottom layer and say Command Shift M or Control Shift M to mask this, just like that. And I'll do the same with the second one as well. And I'll just say Command D or Control D and look at the left hand side. Pay quick notice. See how it duplicates it right above this? And I'm going to select both and say Command Shift M, Control Shift M to create another mask. And I'll do the same with this third one. And I'll say Command D and see how it's duplicated all three of these and say Command Shift M or Control Shift M to mask these. Now that we have three quick masks created, what I'm going to do is quickly put these letters inside these masks. So to do that, I'll double click on this mask, and as you can see, I've entered the mask. And I'll just say Command V or Control V to copy this inside here, and I'll make sure that this letter is hidden somewhere here. And I'll do the same thing with the U letter. Place it inside this mask and place it at the bottom, but make sure that the U is much further away from where we had placed P, so much below that. And for N, we will do the same thing we did with U, but this time we'll place N even further down, so like way below. You can make it as far as possible. So the first one is closest, second one is slightly further, and third one is the furthest, right? Farthest, yeah. So what I'm going to do is quickly just duplicate this artboard. The second artboard, what I'm going to do is make sure I select the first mask and the rectangle, this purple rectangle inside this mask, and make sure that this goes to the top, and make sure that this one is close to this mask itself. So just make it exit, and once I do that, I'll place P inside here as well. And P could have been honestly another color, so what I'm going to do is quickly gray it out, to be honest. And for the second one as well, I'm going to do the same thing, but I place this rectangle way above, further away. Perfect. And I'll do the same thing, and I'll bring U inside and also kind of gray it out. First of all, let me just place it in the center of the rectangle, just like that. And I'm just going to give it the same gray that I've given P, and make sure this is at the center, just like that. And for the third one as well, I'm gonna place this rectangle even further, so further away from everything else that we have here. And we'll make sure that N comes in as well, and just center it out based on this rectangle, just like that. And I'll change the color again to the gray that we have. So we'll have to change the color for the earlier ones as well. I should have done it earlier. It's my mistake. Designers make mistakes, so remember that. If you've made a lot of mistakes, you're on the right path to a great design career. I'm being honest. And I'll place it just like that. So if I go to this artboard, I'll prototype this, and I'll bring this arrow to the second artboard, and I'll say tap auto animate ease in out in 2 seconds. We'll change this to 3 seconds so that you can see the animation happen perfectly. So if I click anywhere in this artboard, see how the animations happen at a different timing. And Adobe XD doesn't have it by default, but if you use the trick that I have used and place it further away, it'll take more time to come in, and if it's going out, it'll take less time to go out. It's inversely proportionate here. So we do also know a little bit of mathematics. I hope you liked that video. I post every Monday and Thursday, and thank you for all the support that you've been providing. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also click that bell icon, because that bell icon is very, very important for me. And also like this video if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. God bless.